Welcome everybody to your part two of your training that's dealing with general guidelines for analyzing literature. Today I will be your trainer and my name is Camille Patterson. So in total there are 16 guidelines that help you and guide you through analyzing literature for your research. I will be dealing with the second 5 guidelines, which is guidelines 5 through 8. My counterpart did guidelines 1 through 4, and then when I'm done, we have 2 more trainers on this subject for the last 8. So with that being said, get your notes and your pens and let's take notes during the training so that it will help you to write better papers and analyze your research and your literature a lot better. So for the first guideline, which is guideline number 5, this is when you want to search for clearly focused terms in your writing. In your research, you want to check for the major terms and the definitions that follow. This will better help you to understand what you are researching and allow you to write with an understanding. You don't ever want to be writing something that you aren't clear on or that you don't understand yourself, because when someone reads it, they'll be able to tell whether you know what you're talking about or not. Also, just in case there are several definitions or different meanings of the same word, you want to take notes of those different meanings on your note cards and keep them handy so that you can refer back to them when needed. One of your best friends during your research and during your analyzing of your paper and your research and things is you want to have a stack of note cards. Because we have 5 guidelines, there is going to be a situation where you are going to need to have at least 4 sets of note cards to help you along through your studying and through your researching. So you want to have a first set for this guideline, which is going to have your definitions and anything dealing with the meanings of the word based off of what your topic is that you are studying. Okay, so then we're going to go to the line 5. So this first example, 451, is the researcher is researching articles that is dealing with dropout information in regards to college dropouts. So this specific example is defining dropouts. And as you can see, this is all interruptions as dropouts. That's one definition. So you would want to have that definition on your note card. Then you'll go to the next example, which is here, 452, and it's saying is defining dropout as students who ceases to begin to be enrolled without a degree. So if you have several different examples or several different meanings, it's okay. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have all of your information handy so that you understand what it is you are reading. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide, which is guideline 6. Now with guideline 6, you want to search for focused stats or statistical information that can be utilized at the start of your writing. So in the process of your research, you want to put together another set of note cards. Like I said, note cards are going to be your friend this time. That will focus on statistical information that may be credited at the start of your review. In this example 461, it's talking about in 1993 and 1994, a total of 1,040 students and their parents, which is 76% of those eligible, consented to participate in a RHC project. And this was pretty much trying to gather data in regards to high school dropouts and college dropouts and things of that nature. So you want to make sure that you can find focused information on your topic and what it is you are studying, so that you, like I said, it's always about the understanding and how you understand what it is you are doing. Okay, our next slide. This slide is guideline 7, and this focuses on the articles that match what you are researching. So when you are doing this specific research, you want to make sure that you pull journal articles or magazine articles or whatever you are pulling, internet articles. You want to make sure that they are focused on what you are researching. So you want to be certain that when you're surveying the articles, that you make sure that they match your focus of research. This will definitely ensure that you stay on track with what you're doing. You also want to review the information carefully to make sure that you take notes from the reading so that you can summarize it later. And we're going to talk about summarizing things later in our ending slides. So if you're focusing on things dealing with college dropouts or articles that's dealing with children not, college students starting school and then dropping out later on, you want to make sure that all of your related study is on college dropouts. The reason for that is that the information that you are acquiring has to be focused on what your topic is. Because if you're doing a topic on, let's say, business, you want to keep it focused on business. You don't want to go into something and be, okay, well, this situation is talking about basketball. At this time, you don't want to distort the focus of what it is you're doing. So for our examples, this example here for guideline 7, example 471 is an on-topic example. So this specific example is discussing and talking about dropout rates and dropout information. And you want to, like I said, always keep focused on your topic. Your next example here is example 472. It's completely off topic, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to make sure that you stay within your guidelines of what it is you are discussing and what it is you want your audience to study after you've written. And then as well, you just want to make sure that you stay within the subject or within the research of what it is that you are actually studying. So our next slide is guideline number 8. This is our last guideline for our training. And once again, you want to put together your note cards or your index cards that have brief but important notes, like quoting things that you've seen in articles. You want to keep note of those important quotes. But because a lot of the times we tend to get excessive with the quotations, this can slow down the flow of your writing, which means if you continue to use quotes from someone or quotes from something that you've had, it becomes a little bit, it's like I said, it's excessive and it's mundane because this is all what somebody else is writing. And when you're writing something, you want to paraphrase it. So it is best to keep direct quotes to a minimum, just so that your reading can flow properly. You want to do your best to put as much of your own wording into the writing. And that brings me to the sidebar discussion on the dreaded P word, which is, I'm going to say it, plagiarism. Now, when it comes to plagiarism, this is the dreaded word, and that's why it's very important to know how to paraphrase what it is you are writing, because nowadays it's so easy to commit plagiarism even if you're not trying. So that's why the second step says here to do your best to keep direct quotations at a minimum. maybe 2 or 3, but once you start getting into 10, it'll be a bit much. But what you can do is, when you are understanding what it is you are writing, you paraphrase it and put it in your own words. You can still give credit, you can still do it in text citation, but you're letting the audience know where you're getting your information from, but it's in your own words. And when you put it in your own words, then that shows you, one, that you understand it, and then it shows your reading audience that you understand it as well. So I don't know if I said it, but plagiarism is when you take someone else's work as your own and you don't give them the credit for it. And a lot of times in college, it's very stressful in writing papers, and we're rushing and we're doing stuff like that. But what you want to do is, you want to make sure that you really take the time out to focus on putting certain things in your own words. Okay, now our next slide is about the examples from Guideline 8. And pretty much what I did was, this example 1 is a direct quote. Now, this direct quote is specifically from the article in which I received it from. And this is word for word what was said. But you see, I have my quotation marks and I have the in-text citation here. So with the next example, this example is example 482, and it's a quote paraphrased, which means I paraphrased this quote. It still means what it means, but it's just different wording. And that's what you want to get into the habit of when you are doing your research and when you are analyzing. Because when you're analyzing it, you're trying to figure out what you understand, what you don't understand. How is this going to fit in your writing? How is the reader going to accept this and stuff like that? So it's always best to try to use your own words to the best of your knowledge. Now, if there's a quote that you just cannot paraphrase it, then it's okay. Go ahead and still, put a quote, give the proper credit, do it the right way. And then you'll be able to still move on to the next. But when you can easily paraphrase something, or when it doesn't take you that much time or that much, brain power to paraphrase it, that's always going to be your best bet, because you limit the possibilities of you plagiarizing any kind of information. Now, this is going to conclude our training, and I hope that you have extremely enjoyed the information that was given. But we are going to discuss a few takeaways. So you want to make sure that you use note cards. These note cards will allow you to be organized in what it is you're researching and how you're analyzing and the notes that you're taking. You also want to stay on topic of your research. You want to make sure that if you're studying about young teenagers in prison, you want to make sure that you stay on the topic of young teenagers in prison. There are so many different topics under that, but you still want to make sure that you stay on that topic. You also want to look for the key terms that are defined within your reading and within your research. And with that, understanding what the key words mean and understanding what the terms are, you are better able to understand what it is you're analyzing. And also look for statistical data that you can use, because when you have the statistical data, you are pretty much talking about facts. You're pretty much talking about surveys that have been surveyed by someone previous, and it's giving you that information that you need. In regards to the taking notes on quotes, you can take the notes on quotes, but you want to make sure that when you're taking those notes that you are pretty much understanding what you're writing. And like I said, always limit the amount of direct quotes that you use. And then in the last point, we want to don't plagiarize. That is what the key is in this situation. When you're analyzing and when you're researching, you want to make sure that you do not plagiarize. You want to make sure that you cite properly and do what you need to do in order to get your paper written to the point where you're going to get a good grade and you're not going to get dinged when they take your paper through the plagiarism test that all of us college students deal with. So with this being said, this concludes our training, and I want to thank you for your attention and your time, and have a good day.